To add a checkbox into a spreadsheet, once you are in Excel, simply navigate to the Developers tab up here, then click on the Insert tab right below. And if you can't find the Developers tab on your screen, you will need to manually create it as an additional tab up above on the ribbon. This is because Excel by default doesn't show this tab on your worksheet. To do that, hover over any existing tab and right-click. Within this menu, let's click on Customize the ribbon. This will open up this Excel options, and over on the right-hand side, you can turn on or off all of the different tabs that appear as part of the ribbon. And right in this list, you should see an option named Developer. Let's check this box and then down below click on OK. This has now added a new tab titled Developer with the other tabs. Let's click on that. And we have all of these different options here. We just want to insert a very simple checkbox. In the center under the Controls category, let's click on Insert. And here we see all sorts of different form controls, and there's the checkbox. Let's click on that. Now that I've selected checkbox, I can now drag a checkbox anywhere on this worksheet. If you had any difficulty doing that, feel free to ask your questions in the comments. Now you've successfully added a checkbox into your spreadsheet, but that's not all. Unfortunately, it becomes much more complicated when it comes to using and manipulating these checkboxes. And that's why, after teaching how to add these, 80% of my students always come back frustrated, asking how to control and manipulate these checkboxes. So, using a simple example, I'll show you how to control and use these checkboxes. And a quick disclosure, I'm a worker at Microsoft and an expert in all Office products, including Excel. So in my example, we will use this checklist I prepared for some different cookies I've been baking, and I want to add checkboxes to this list to track my progress throughout the baking process. So I'm going to start by drawing a checkbox and placing it right here. And to follow along with me, please feel free to pause the video and set up a worksheet that looks just like this. Currently, the checkbox is selected, but I can easily move it around if I want. And when I expand the checkbox, you'll see that there's some text next to it. The only disadvantages to this is that you can't really format the text, but hey, you can edit what the text says. So I'm just going to delete the text and keep the checkbox next to this item. Now here's the fun part. When I click on the checkbox, it checks itself, and with another click, it unchecks. It's like a little toggle switch. And if you want to move the checkbox to a different spot on the sheet, you can simply right-click on it or press the Control key and click on it to select it. Then you can reposition it wherever you like. If you want to copy the checkbox to multiple items, you can click on the fill icon in the bottom right-hand corner and drag it down to create more checkboxes. Or you can click into the cell, drag down, and press Ctrl-D to copy the checkbox all the way down. And if there's a checkbox you don't need, just right-click and cut, or press the Delete key to remove it. Now that we have all our checkboxes in place, if you want to know the state of each checkbox or use it in a function, here's what you can do. Press Ctrl and click on the first checkbox to select it. Then right-click on it and choose Format Control from the context menu. In the Format Control window, you can define the default state of the checkbox. Currently, it's set to unchecked, but you can change that to checked if you want all the checkboxes to start off as checked when you load the sheet. You can also set them to a mixed state, and down at the bottom, there's an option to toggle on or off 3D shading, which actually affects how the checkboxes look. It's pretty cool, right? But here's where it gets really interesting. The true power of these checkboxes lies in their ability to link to cells. Let me show you. If I click here and select this icon, I can link this checkbox to cell C2. Watch this. I'll click over there and up above, we see C2 in the Format Control. Now let's expand this again and click OK. Now at first glance, it might seem like nothing has changed, but check this out. When I tick this box and then untick it, you'll see that cell C2 shows true when it's checked and false when it's not. Pretty neat, huh? I've just linked my first checkbox to a cell, but now I need to go through and link all the other checkboxes to cells as well. There are a few ways we can do this. For example, I could press the Control key and click on the second checkbox, then right-click and go to Format Control, or an even quicker way is to press Ctrl-1 on the keyboard. This opens up the Format Control, and from there, I can link the checkbox to cell C3. Easy peasy. But wait, there's an even quicker way. Let's press Ctrl and then select this checkbox. Up on top in the formula bar, I'll enter an equal sign to let Excel know that I'm about to enter a formula. Then I'll link it to cell C4 and voila. These two are now linked. That's an even quicker way of doing it. And for the remaining checkboxes, I'll click on Control, insert equals up here, and then select cell C5. So now, all of my checkboxes are linked to one of these cells. And if you're enjoying the video so far, Please like the video by leaving a thumbs up. It encourages me a lot. Now that we've linked all of these cells to these checkboxes, we can use them with conditional formatting and functions. For instance, we want to know how many items of our list are completed automatically by using a function. So at the very bottom of this list, let's type in items completed. We can use a function to count how many of these items are checked off. Let's click on this icon up top to open the insert function dialog. There's a function called countif that'll allow us to count the number of trues in this column. So we'll type it in here, click on go, and from down here, select countif and then click on OK. Next, it asks us to enter in a range, and we will use all of these cells and their values here as our range. And for the criteria, we want a count of how many boxes are currently set to true. Then click on OK. Now let's take a look at our spreadsheet. Right now, all the checkboxes are empty, which means none of the tasks are done yet. But watch this. If we check one of them, it changes to true, and we get a count of 1. And as I go through and check each item, we can see that 4 out of 4 are completed. We can also figure this out as a percentage. Up here in the formula bar, let's divide this by the total number of items. We'll use another function called count_a. This will count the number of cells in a range that are not empty. I'll open up the parenthesis, and here we'll simply highlight all the different cookies that we have. So we have 4 different items in the list, and then I'll close it and hit enter. So here we see a 1, which means that we have 100% done. And if I check this, it shows 0.75. Now right up on top, let's click on home, and right in the center in the formatting controls, we can change this to a percent style. And now we see that 25% of this list is done. I'll check the first box here. We see 25, 50, 75, all the way up to 100%. Now let's add some style to make this visually appealing by adding some conditional formatting. I'll select the cell and head to the Home tab. In the Style section, you'll click on Conditional Formatting. From there, I'll choose this data bars. Then we will select a data bar with a solid fill. Next, let's go right back up to Conditional Formatting and then select Manage Rules. And here, let's click on Edit Rule. Right over here, we can now define what this bar should look like. I'll select a minimum. Let's set that to a number. And for the minimum, let's set that to 0. For maximum, let's also set that to a number. And here we can set that to 100% and then click on OK. Now when I go through and check the boxes, look at that. We're now using conditional formatting to show the percent of items that I've been completed. That's pretty cool. Now let's say this spreadsheet is for tracking tasks in a project. We could have different team members responsible for different tasks, and as they complete their work, they can simply tick off their respective checkboxes. The countif function will automatically update the total number of completed tasks, and the data bars will show the overall progress at a glance. This makes it super easy for the project manager to monitor progress and identify any bottlenecks or areas that need more attention. Plus, it's a great way to motivate the team by visually showing how much they've accomplished. It's not only practical, but also visually engaging and motivating for everyone involved. So there you have it. You're now an Excel Checkbox Pro. If you found this helpful and want to see more cool Excel tips and tricks, consider subscribing for more videos like this. I'll catch you in the next one.